Imagine witnessing the exact moment when the heavens seem to open and a mantle falls from the sky, landing right at your feet. This is the story of Elisha, one of the most powerful spiritual heirs in the entire Bible. An ordinary man with no fame or status who abandoned everything to answer God's call, unaware that his destiny would be marked by impossible miracles, confrontations with kings, and a spiritual power so intense that it would continue operating even after his death. You are about to discover the prophet who divided the Jordan River, multiplied provision in times of scarcity, raised children from the dead, healed lepers, and blinded entire armies. But be warned, there is a profound and surprising detail about Elisha's legacy that I will reveal only at the end of this video. And it may completely change the way you understand faith, obedience, and divine purpose. Prepare your heart. The journey of Elisha is not merely a biblical story. It is a living invitation to understand what it truly means to inherit a divine calling. Let's begin. The atmosphere was heavy. Silence filled the air, announcing that something irreversible was about to happen. Elijah, the prophet of fire, the man who confronted kings, shut the heavens, and called down flames from above, knew that his time was coming to an end. His mission had been fulfilled. Yet God would not leave Israel without direction, nor would he allow his voice to fall silent. A successor had already been chosen. His name was Elisha, not a renowned leader, not a priest, not a warrior. He was a farmer, invisible to human expectations. But God does not choose according to appearances. God chooses willing hearts. And Elisha's heart was about to be ignited with a calling that would echo through generations. The prophetic mantle, the visible symbol of divine authority, was about to change hands. But before that, Elisha would need to learn a crucial truth. Power does not reside in the mantle, but in the one who carries it with faith and obedience. The transition had already begun, even though the world had no idea what was coming. Elisha's story does not begin with miracles. It begins with a calling. It was an ordinary day in the fields of Abel-Meholah. The sun shone over the land as Elisha guided his oxen, his hands hardened by labor. Before him stood 12 yoke of oxen, clear evidence that he was not a poor farmer. He had wealth, stability, and a secure future. Suddenly, his routine was interrupted. Elijah approached, said nothing, and threw his mantle over Elisha's shoulders. No thunder, no fire, just a silent act that spoke louder than words. Picture the moment. Desert heat, freshly turned soil, sweat on his face, and then the rough fabric brushing against his skin. The weight was not the cloth. It was destiny. It was God saying, "I have chosen you." Elisha could have hesitated. He could have negotiated, but he didn't. He ran back, broke the wooden plows, lit a fire, sacrificed the oxen, and prepared a feast for the people. With that act, he declared, "There is no turning back. My past ends here." He followed Elijah not as an admirer, but as a servant, ready to learn, to obey, and to die to himself. Because when God calls, He does not ask for part of your life. He asks for all of it. That farmer became a disciple, unaware that one day he would surpass even his master. The calling was simple, but the response was radical. That is what God seeks. Hearts that do not retreat. Would you have done the same? Years passed. Elisha became Elijah's shadow. Wherever the prophet went, Elisha followed. He served quietly, patiently, without envy or ambition. He learned that before carrying the mantle, one must carry the water. That true leadership is born in service, and humility is preparation for anointing. Their relationship was not merely teacher and student, but spiritual father and son. Elijah saw in Elisha what he himself once was. Elisha saw in Elijah what he longed to become, a trusted voice of heaven. Then the day arrived. Elijah tried 3 times to leave him behind. "Stay here," he said. But Elisha answered, "As surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, I will not leave you." 2 Kings 2:2. He knew this was not just a farewell, it was an inheritance. Standing before the Jordan River, Elijah rolled up his mantle and struck the waters. The river split open. They crossed on dry ground. On the other side, Elijah asked, "What may I do for you before I am taken from you?" Elisha did not ask for comfort or fame. He asked for the impossible, a double portion of Elijah's spirit. And then it happened. A chariot of fire, horses of fire, a whirlwind from heaven. Elijah was taken up before Elisha's eyes. The mantle fell. The mentor was gone. But the promise remained. Before we continue, let me make a quick invitation. If this story strengthens your faith, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and leave a like. This helps more people discover the powerful legacy of Elisha. Let's continue. Elisha tore his clothes, a sign of mourning, but also of transformation. The old Elisha had died. A new one was being born. Returning alone, holding the mantle, he stood again before the Jordan and cried out, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" He struck the water, and it parted. The confirmation was undeniable. The Spirit rested upon him, and the miracles began. Bitter waters were healed. Provision multiplied. The dead were raised. Lepers were cleansed. Armies were blinded. Not because Elisha was greater, but because God is faithful to those who dare to ask for more in order to serve better. Even after his death, Elisha's legacy did not end. A dead man touched his bones and came back to life. God's power crossed the boundary of the grave. Because what God plants in a faithful heart never dies, it multiplies. And here is the secret I promised to reveal. Elisha's greatness was not rooted in miracles, but in quiet faithfulness. He dared to ask for more, and God honored his courage, not out of ambition, but out of mission. Elisha left no biological children, yet he left an eternal spiritual inheritance. Because true legacy is not what you accumulate, it is what you pass on. The final question is not whether God can use you. The question is, are you available? Elisha was. And that changed everything.